Wow, what a Sunday evening. Yeah, it's okay if there's a bit of a hangover mood on Monday. However, I just want to quickly put out a rather serious video, which might not excite some people because I'm not really caught up in the hype right now. Like, woohoo! Now everything is going to skyrocket. Now we're going to see the new all-time high with Bitcoin. No, I don't believe it. Possibly the retailer got really fooled again yesterday. And that's why I would say, let's just dive in, talk about all the facts, take a look at today's trading setup, and discuss the mistakes you might want to avoid today. So, we'll see each other after the intro. Now new, Uptrend VIP Trading, your opportunity to copy the signals of two profit traders for free. They managed to grow an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your BingX account. You can find all further information below in the description. A quick look at the crypto bubbles. Yes, what a surprise. We have green results after the news yesterday, no question. However, I fear that now many retailers are once again completely over-leveraged. And I will prove to you that this is the case entering the market, who probably sold at a big loss 3 days earlier. But before we get to that, let's first take a look at what exactly happened yesterday in detail. And above all, what was effectively announced and what did the general public perceive, because there is a certain gap there. In between, briefly and concisely, let's start from the beginning, as this has already been discussed more frequently. The first one who really shared it widely on X was Michael Saylor, after Trump in turn posted on his own social media platform, Social Proof. I don't use it, but you can write in the comments if anyone is active there. In any case, he put out a post there. Now, I would like to briefly say at this point that for me, it's a bit of manipulation, or perhaps they just sent the intern without supervision key to make a post, which I assume wasn't just released into the world without a plan. And then they simply forget to mention the first, and second, largest cryptocurrencies in this post. And curiously, it takes them an hour later to add the announcement saying, hey, take a look. We want a strategic reserve for Solana ADA and XRP. And an hour later, oh folks, I also really love Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's why, logically, they are included as well. That was also the reason why initially all the Bitcoins pumped and then Bitcoin and Ethereum followed suit. But before we dive deeper here, a big thank you from my side. It's really crazy, the number of clicks that came in yesterday. And I want to say again, there's no hype on this channel. I was partly hated for this thumbnail. How could I talk about XRP and $18,000? Quite simply, because there is a news report that says exactly that. And in the video, I clearly refuted why that will never happen in life. So a tip for everyone, better watch the videos and then you can still hate. But don't judge just a thumbnail. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And you can clearly see it here from the clicks. You make the whole thing much more serious. And people are just like, yeah, all right, let's see. But my concern here is to prevent you from making any big mistakes. Well, then such thumbnails are necessary to explain to you in the video why it might not be so realistic. Even if those big YouTubers out there have told something huge again. So, just a little side note. As I said, still a huge thank you for the clicks, also for the likes. Really awesome. We have, I believe, gathered nearly 250 likes. Today, my goal would be to hit the 300 mark. And I promise you, you'll get content density here without end. And it's also free, so you can really boost my hours of research in this channel. Now, just enjoy the free content, and if you're new to the channel, are you wondering? Then it's quite nice, but what do you actually do here? You see it with me. You get the most important crypto news daily, based on honest facts and transparent without hype. Absolutely important. That's why I could also sell you in today's video that we should buy nothing in May and we will all get rich. No, it doesn't make sense. I will save you from a mistake where many would now certainly let you run into a trap. And if you're up for that, plus a daily trading setup, hey, let's go. Then you can simply leave a free subscription and activate the bell so you don't miss any important information. And so let's move directly to Trump and his statement, or rather what is often heard. And what might still be a bit questionable. Because the original statement is a US crypto reserve will advance this important industry after years of corrupt attacks by the two administrations. That's why my executive order on digital assets instructed the task force to advance a strategic crypto reserve, he says, which includes XRP, Solana, and ADA. I will ensure that the USA is the crypto capital of the world. We are making all America great again. That is the core message. Now, I would like to say, except for the points XRP, Solana, and ADA, where later Bitcoin and Ethereum also joined, everything else in this posting is actually already known. Because this executive order, which he mentioned yesterday in the posting, has already existed since the 23rd January. So basically, nothing new for now. This working group was led by David Sachs. It was established. Now it gets interesting because on Friday, the first crypto meeting offensive, or whatever you want to call it, is taking place at the White House. Now, various leadership positions are coming together. In the last announcements, something from Cynthia Loomis was also mentioned. And it should be noted that, well, the level of knowledge is very limited. And at first, one thought that only Germany was far behind. However, regarding the knowledge about blockchain and crypto, well, at the meeting on Friday, they are initially just discussing the stablecoins. Put into focus at least what is publicly known. And now we have to wait and see if the reserves will also become a topic. Because in this executive order, there is also the directive for the working group to develop these reserves, at least a plan on how they could be implemented. However, within the next 188 days, so there is still a bit of leeway. So we can first note that everything is quite cool, quite nice, but was the posting perhaps just a bit of bread for the masses? No idea. So Eric Trump posted this very nicely and said, yes, that's great because institutional investors are not active on the weekend. Now, such an announcement is made over the weekend. That retailers also have the opportunity to participate, so I posted it here as well. There is also evidence that there are big players who coincidentally opened long positions exactly 1 hour before this announcement yesterday. Surely just a coincidence. And by the way, if you don't want to miss such news, feel free to follow me on X. Check the description, there's the link, or simply search for trend_infos. So let's briefly summarize. The posting yesterday was quite nice. It definitely saved the market. I also find it all positive, don't get me wrong. However, no new information except for which currencies are now explicitly supposed to be included in the reserves. But certainly, with the missing information on how quickly the whole thing can be implemented, for example, yes, but wait, could Trump now simply implement these reserves through an executive order? Well, with executive orders, they can be implemented relatively quickly. The only big problem with this, but we all want to get rich quickly now, so from that perspective, it's completely uninteresting. The next president after Trump could simply overturn it. That's exactly how it was. That Trump has now reversed executive orders issued by Biden. Biden had previously done the same with executive orders from Trump from the previous term. And Obama, for example, did that with Bush back then. So it happens relatively quickly. On the other hand, the big question is, does Trump even have the authority to change something like that? So, of course, fundamentally, he could now instruct the Treasury Department or other federal agencies to build a crypto reserve. The big problem with this matter now is, to build it up, he logically needs financial resources. However, a president does not have the authority to simply reallocate federal funds in the billions. For that, he needs the approval of Congress. He could, of course, go ahead and say, okay, we'll just use the already confiscated crypto assets. However, for example, there is no XRP included. And apart from that, ADA is likely missing here as well. So, I have now pulled out the listing from Akram. We have Bitcoin in the billions here. Yes, that's okay. Ethereum is also included, but I don't quite believe that this is what he meant in yesterday's post, because no matter how far you go down, and clearly, if you want to use XRP as a reserve, then it should already be included in the higher section here. and for example, you find nothing at all from XRP or ADA, and now the political opponents are also coming into play, because I don't even want to say it, since they are all like so cool right now. Hired, the SEC or the CFTC could simply challenge this executive order. There have been precedents in the past. So President Biden used Executive Order 14,067 at the time to regulate cryptocurrencies, to introduce a comprehensive investigation and, in turn, to push the digital dollar forward. Now Trump could pursue the whole thing. That is a similar strategy to once again instruct the government to prepare crypto reserves, to prepare them to the appropriate extent. But now we are talking about preparation, not implementation. So we can summarize that an executive order is not enough to build this strategic crypto reserve, at least not to the extent that we all desire. So before we get to the trading setup, let's briefly discuss what effective options Trump has now. The quickest option would be to pack the confiscated crypto holdings into a reserve. The risk here would be that the next president could simply overturn it. But fundamentally, we can also ask ourselves, okay, 17 billion in Bitcoin, which are currently held by the US government, is great. But all other assets, which also surged yesterday following the news, would remain unaffected by this. Now, we are talking about an implementation time of 3 to 6 months just for this point alone. Option number 2. There is an executive order for these authorities, like the Treasury Department, for example, which should then prepare the whole thing accordingly. So this could then be managed through the Sovereign Wealth Fund, for example. Again, the risk is that an executive order from a successor could be revoked. And furthermore, some authorities might internally resist, which could certainly delay the whole process. Now we are already talking about a time frame of 6 to 12 months. And finally, we come to the third option, which would also be the best in this case, namely the legal anchoring by Congress. However, here we are talking about 1 to 3 years before something like this could be implemented. And Congress would really have to pass a law. We don't need to imagine political resistance. There are also the Democrats who will accordingly oppose it. And then one should also note at this point, so friends, I'm completely on board with Bitcoin. Feel free to write about it in the comments. But why, for example, XRP? I don't understand it. Almost 50% of all XRP are still held by Ripple. So, regardless of whether they distribute them or whatever they do, but the risk factor would essentially be there. And a US government would somewhat hand over responsibility to a US company's, well, I can't really imagine it now. So what I just want to get out of here, the fact is, everything is currently quite driven by form, and I just want to give you the tip. You can also notice that the price is fluctuating again, especially when there's a significant pump. No matter which currency, it's relatively normal for a correction to follow. Logically, because many want to take profits, and if you look at this, this is a vector candle that we see. I'll come back to that when we look at it in trading. In any case, what you can clearly see here in the Bitcoin chart, here there was a proper shakeout and all short positions were thoroughly liquidated. Especially right here. Now we just have to wait because a lot has built up down here. I can already tell you that much. And we can see this quite well on the daily view. Therefore, I would proceed with a lot of caution. You can see there has already been quite a bit of snacking here and it looks very much like it. Currently, we only have the market makers active. The stock market only starts at 3:30 p.m. and then we'll see what happens. But before that, it could very well be that we run back into this range here. That would at least still be in the 90,000 range. However, it goes down to here. Therefore, I find it very conceivable that we might even go back into the area around running into 89K, then at least this range would be revisited, which is quite realistic that such a vector candle might be picked up halfway or maybe even completely. So, we will see. But I consider this range here quite realistic to be targeted again. Now, let's briefly pull up the Bitcoin chart for this. You see, we had our V formation here where there was hope that it would continue upwards. Yes, it did continue upwards. However, you can now also see the area coming downwards, and I have drawn a range here. Please don't hold me to it. I have it here at 89,136. It's is indeed a support here. An area where I could imagine this space being tested again and then possibly continuing upwards. But as I said, I consider it quite realistic, which is why I can only give you the tip. Don't fall into absolute FOMO and think, wow, I have to get in now and over leverage long. Those are exactly the ones who get liquidated. And Ethereum is not quite above the dam either. Yes, up here it lights up brightly. However, a lot has also built up down here. And that's where we are. For example, around 2132, something in that area. If we now take a look at the chart, it would completely retrace everything again. And you can see we are clearly back in a downtrend here. Here. Profits are being taken clearly. And if we take 2132 as a benchmark, we will definitely be back in this lower area and also in the critical zone. And then it becomes interesting whether the market makers will just push it down so that it goes back up at the Wall Street opening. Who knows? We will see. Let's move directly to XRP, where you can at least see a slight increase again. However, down here, it still remains at 2 at 11. Considerable liquidity that might want to be collected. If we briefly switch to the 12-hour view, it already looks significantly better. So you can see there is a volume area here that is quite attractive. The path is currently being paved there, so I do believe that it can be reached. And also here and up here, there is quite a bit to gain. Let's take another quick look at the 15-minute chart. That doesn't look too bad now. As I said, there's no guarantee that it will continue upwards like this. However, we see here that part of the candle was retraced here at this Fibonacci line where there was already good movement during the ascent. There was a bit of turmoil again, but then the rejection upwards. Let's be surprised by how it continues here. There will be, logically, Bitcoin and especially the Wall Street opening will play a decisive role again. That should be it for now. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a free like. Boost the algorithm properly. You are, of course, welcome to write in the comments that my sunglasses look super mega and that I should make videos like this more often. No, but jokes aside, feel free to share this video with people who are currently in absolute denial and should realize that such a reserve doesn't come overnight. Because I fear that many believe exactly that. And finally, I can give you a tip. A few days ago, I made a video. Feel free to check this out. This is, of course, somewhat revised now. I have also adjusted my limit orders differently now. If you're interested in the topic in more depth, I can go into detail on that again. However, if we really slide down completely again, the fear will quickly return. And then it could very well be that the thesis I presented there becomes reality. What I'm talking about, check it out in the video. We'll see each other tomorrow in the next update. Until then, all the best. Bye.